that you've had a richness of experience with Vedanta and Puja Swamiji. So I was wondering if you could create a story for us.
Create a story?
Well, one of the memorable things that happened that was striking.
Okay, someone in Ashland just asked me kind of that same question. She said, what's your most memorable, cherished incident with Swamiji? And I said, there's no one event, but there is this. I remember one of my favorite things about him. He could tell a joke over and over and over. Maybe he'd told it 100 times, and then the years go by, maybe 200, 300. And for him, when he would tell the joke or any anecdote, it was always fresh and it was always funny. And I remember how he would laugh at his own joke. And it was an old joke. I mean, but he was so, the people's faces are what were important to him, what they might be experiencing. He just transferred his enthusiasm to them and them to him, and he would laugh, and he was just something, ha ha ha, and he would slap his leg. I can still hear him laugh. And so for him, his whole life, not even just a joke, his whole life, everything he taught was always fresh. And he told us the teaching was always fresh. The Mother Ganga represents the flow of knowledge coming down, and how that water is always fresh. So he used to say that the teaching is ever fresh. And it's ever fresh also from another standpoint that, it's easy for us to forget what we listen. So that's why repetition is very important in Vedanta. So every time you hear a text or a talk, it's always going to be different. It'll be different for the one who's giving it, and it'll be different because we always bring a different mind to any given class. Or we laugh. And Swamini, this one. The people that say, "Oh, what's he going to teach this time?" Or "What's the retreat going to be about this time?" "Oh, we're going to take 12th chapter Gita." "Oh, we heard that last time." "What about Upanishad?" "Yeah, taking Keno." "Oh, I already heard that one." This, I already heard. We always chuckle inside because we know how many times, we've listened to any one text or one topic, or it's never the same. So ever fresh. And that was Swamiji. Yeah.
So how did you get into Vedanta?
This is the good old standard fare that I was doing some Hatha yoga, and then we had a little group of friends, and then some lady came from India, and she was a disciple of Swami Chinmayananda, and we started taking some Vedanta classes with her. Raul was back there. Back then we stumbled into that same group at the same time. I think it was 69, 69. And then Swami Chinmayananda came twice to Hawaii, and the second time he was there, we had the news that they would be starting a course in India, a long-term course for serious students, and for 2.5 years. And so I asked Swami Chinmayananda if I could come, and he said yes, and I took off, and the teacher who was sitting there waiting to teach was Swami Vidyananda. So that's how I got there. That's the thumbnail version. we don't have a lot of time, but anyway, yeah. Yeah.
What we were talking about before, I'm curious about, did he teach Easterners and Westerners the same way or different?
Yes, yes. When they announced that that course was going to be taught in India, they were requesting or requiring everybody to be a college graduate, and the course would be taught in English. And Swamiji's English was just astounding for someone who was more or less self-taught. I feel like I learned English from Swamiji. Grammar, I mean, his thinking was so clear. And no, he never differentiated Westerner or Easterner. Maybe if he was in Tamil Nadu and he was talking in Tamil or something, but even then he used to say he loved English for teaching Vedanta. He felt that it was a very great language for teaching Vedanta, better than any of the local languages, and even Tamil. So yeah, Sanskrit of course first, Sanskrit first, and then English. So when you study Sanskrit, then Sanskritam, when you study, then you learn so much about grammar. So, and that gets applied to your own mother tongue, and it was one of the Avantara Palas, one of the secondary fruits of this study was to really clean up your language. Because Swamiji told us always be careful how you use your words. Very careful. And he was a master, absolute master. You have to listen or see or hear him, or on YouTube there's so much now. But there's a lovely TED talk on compassion, and every time I've heard him, even later in life, tapes and things, his capacity to just cut right to the topic and stay on topic and unfold a topic. So in that, there's never going to be any difference between Westerners and Easterners. He told us, he must have said something like that to you also, I'm sure. He said, even if you don't get Vedanta, you leave this place hopefully learning how to think. How to think. So, yeah.
Did he say why he thought English was such a good language for teaching Vedanta?
The question why can't really be answered, except it's the taste of a pudding is in the using. And so those of us, most of his disciples, we all also teach in English. Some are blessed that they can also teach in their mother tongues, and that's a wonderful thing, because not everybody speaks English. But when we use and teach in English, I think we get it, why he says that. Other than Sanskrit, in other words, bottom line is this vision, yes, can be transferred in English. You do not have to learn Sanskrit. He has done such a good job in training a master teacher of teachers. He has trained us so well, so the vision can be delivered in English. And that's, I think those of us who are engaged doing that, then we appreciate why. But I can't give you a nice quippy answer of why. It just works well.
I think because English is more accommodating than any other language to talk about the systems of Vedanta.
Okay, that's coming from
From a non-English speaking
a
background.
non-English. Yeah, and you had to learn English on your own too.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm. So if you had to learn this in Spanish,
If I were to have to say something about Vedanta in Spanish, it would be very uncomfortable.
yeah. I think English, having been a business language and a scientific language, it has a capacity to cut through. You can cut through the the chaff, so to speak.
And the word plays.
Mm?
The word plays.
Yeah. Like Swamini, cherry, berry cherry. It's a berry cherry day. Okay, so, yeah. I suppose you could say that for any language, but, yeah, we're very... Swamiji's English itself is just astounding. I can't put it any better than that. Amazing.
I think one of his most treasured, something that stood with me, was his ability of tune. He carried his own. He went to learn to some very gifted musicians.
To tune, you mean his the tone of his voice?
Yeah, apply into the singing form, chanting form.
Yeah, I think he was born with a very rich voice.
Yeah.
And he used to hear a lot of music. So, yeah, that was another thing that caught people. He could sing and chant so beautifully. I mean, Swamiji is a real Krishna, for... and he was a great musician. In the end, he had composed so many of his own compositions. But the depth and the tone of his voice, when even while he was teaching or chanting, teaching us to chant, he had that depth of richness. Again, it's hard, it seems so silly to try to talk about it. You have to hear it. Even on his deathbed, someone was singing one of his own compositions as a prayer, as a final prayer. And he really looked like he was gone, but then he lifted his head up and he came out.
Singing.
He came out again with that richness and was singing. It was just astounding.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't use superlatives, these adjectives much, but
I think one of the compositions is Bo Sambo. Everybody now sings, all the Carnatic musicians.
all the musicians,
Shiva Shambho.
they all wanted to learn, his songs, his compositions, but that one was really went
It's very good.
around, yeah.
Yeah, the lady Nitya.
Nitishri.
Yes. Yeah, she expanded through India, that song.
Because
Yes.
of that song.
Yes.
He what? I didn't get that.
One lady, Nitya, one singer, she became famous because of her singing this song.
In India?
Yeah.
He came up as a musician singing Pujya Swamiji's songs, and
Yeah.
especially Bo Shambho.
Yeah.
It admitted her into a wonderful world of,
Mhm.
where she was really known as an artist.
A lot
Yeah.
of musicians definitely sing this song now. Anytime you go to a concert or so, towards the end they will sing this. And I'll sit up immediately and say, okay,
Yeah.
this song,
And dancers take it up too,
Yeah.
I think. Bharatanatyam dancers should dance.
There was another song which we all sang with Villada and Sailors, but I'm trying to see what it was. Apparently it was his composition. 5 or 6 of us put together and sang. He's got an excellent voice and very good singer.
Swamiji was meant to be a Jagat Guru more than any other gurus I've heard of. It sounds biased, but it's not. It's not. And there's not going to be, not decade, what's more, centuries will go by or have gone by that we'll see a teacher like that.
Yeah.
There's something I can share. Very early on, when I first arrived in India, and the organization was set up. So Swami Chinmayananda was the big Swami, and in fact they used to say Bada Swamiji and Chota Swamiji. Not nice now, but in other words, big Swami and small Swami. First fiddle and second fiddle, that kind of. But the people took it nicely. It wasn't. It didn't mean. It wasn't anything negative. It was just a way of speaking. So you remember that, yeah. So it was early in the course, just gotten there, I think, and the first small visit that Swami Chinmayananda popped in on us, and in his kutia he was having a satsang, and I was sitting there, and I said, Swamiji, how do we really know who is a real Mahatma, who's a real one and a not, separating? And he answered, he said, the mark of a great Mahatma is if he can create or make another Mahatma who is greater than himself. That was very early. I mean, that would have been in 1971. I mean, most of you know the two Swamis had to part. It just happened. But I think I've always remembered that as something very significant. Because it came to be. It just came to be. The last couple of weeks, when Swamiji was in the throes of, the deathbed, we all knew he was going, and I would get a few emails here and there from people who were feeling, upset and confused, and why aren't they letting him go? Or why does he have to go? All those kind of questions come up, and I said he's not leaving us. He has left us so much. And I don't feel like he's left. I really don't. Maybe it just hasn't struck me yet, but he's left so much behind. Oh my God. DVDs, YouTube. I bet we're going to see even more things coming on YouTube. Whether that's good or not, I don't know. But there's already so much there. And from all different parts of his life. You can see a video from, his earliest days with his kamandalu coming up from Ganga. It was done by some Britisher. And from there up until his last, till the Mahasamadhi internment, on YouTube itself we can find over the years. And I just, my sense is that even more is going to be put on. People will want to share. Make him available. More available. That's another thing about him. In addition to being ever fresh, he was, unlike so many so-called big gurus, including Swami Svatmavidyananda, Swamiji always made himself available to people, to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that came in off the street. He will never turn people away. And I used to feel so bad because in the ashram there would be after lunch people waiting in line. He's already with diabetes and he needs to rest. To him, rest was, he had some kind of allergy to this word rest. And so people, he didn't know boundaries, and I know that's partially a cultural thing. Indians are not good with boundaries. And then Swamiji, I had gotten into a little bit of psychology, so I said, Swamiji, you never set your boundaries. And he said, I'm not an ordinary person. And he didn't mean that in an egotistical way at all. He just said, in other words, people want to see me, I want to be available, full stop. That's all it was for him. And someone said to me, why aren't they letting him go? People were holding on, more dialysis, more this or that. And I wrote back to that person, I said, Swamiji died the way he lived. His body never belonged to him, it belonged to everyone else, belonged to the world. And so even right at the last, people wanted him to stay. And he gave it his level best to stay. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's my favorite poem, and we can end here. There's a poem by Rudyard Kipling. If I can keep my head when everybody else around me is losing theirs and blaming it on me, that's the first line of that poem. And there's about 15, maybe 20 things like that. And one of them is, if I can give, the wording, in a poem, the wording is so important, but it was said so beautifully. If I can fill the last minutes run fully, giving every breath and sinew of my body till it falls, and every one of those sentences ends as an open-ended end. There's no period or question mark. Just says, if I can do this, if I can do this, if I can do this. And it has about 20 things, and then you get down to the last line. Then I will know that I am a man. And I like to change it and say, then I will know I have made it. Because, when you say, then I know I am a man, kind of excludes a few of us. So, but that one about that, if I can fill the last minute's run with every nerve and sinew till it falls, and then that was Swamiji. You Google that, you just put Rudyard Kipling, if. It's a wonderful poem. This guy must have been, poked his nose into the Gita, because it's all Bhagavad Gita in there. Everything. So, please read that. It's great. Very nice. Okay. After lunch is rest time. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you.
So we reconvene here at 5 o'clock.